amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey, and welcome back for this Saturday series episode. My guest today is my friend Nicole Paggi. Nicole and I met on the sidelines of our daughter's soccer games. They were both placed on the same club soccer team, and if you have kids that play sports, you know you spend a ton of time at practices, at games, at tournaments, and really there's nothing better than if you have a team with fun parents. It makes all the difference in the world. I loved chatting with Nicole on the sidelines because she's an actress and she's got great stories. And we would always end up talking about everything from just about true crime, movies, parenting, cooking. She's one of those people that makes the healthier version of every recipe that you can think of. She's got great style. She's absolutely someone that you would want to follow on Instagram for all of her tips. And she's somebody who is really, my one friend calls people like yummy friends. They're the kind of friends that you sit and talk to and you can talk about just about everything and feel safe with them. Nicole is so down to earth, and I suspect a lot of it comes from the fact that she's from Austin, Texas. So you can only imagine growing up in Austin, Texas, and you're not around anybody who is an actor. And she took the leap in a career where she really didn't have any connections. So she trained in Los Angeles and New York. She got her degree from Texas State University. And then she goes out to LA and she gets a big break. She got a breakout role on the Fox drama Pasadena. And from there, she made her mark in comedy as Sydney on the ABC sitcom Hope and Faith, then as Sara Crawford on the UPN hit One on One. Over the years, she's appeared in everything from CSI and Rizzoli Isles to 90210, 911, and most recently, she stepped into the beloved role of Maxie Jones on General Hospital, which is a testament to her versatility and staying power across genres, formats, and decades. One of the most compelling parts of Nicole's story is the chapter she chose to write away from the spotlight, because at the height of her career, she stepped back, taking a sabbatical from acting to raise her daughters. And it wasn't a pause born from defeat. It was a deliberate, thoughtful shift toward family growth in real life. And I know so many of you will identify with that. And then you're going to hear in our conversation that choice ended up shaping her far more deeply than any role she's ever played, and how her role as a mother has completely shifted the way that she approaches characters. She almost feels more creative than ever because of it. You will also hear her talk candidly about the unpredictable world of acting, how rejection built resilience she didn't know that she had, how stepping away changed her relationship with her craft, and why she believes life experience is the secret ingredient to becoming a more grounded and authentic performer. This is a conversation about creativity, reinvention, and trusting the long arc of your own story. And I'm so excited to share it with you. Let's get into it with my friend, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I love your show. You're such an amazing interviewer, and meeting you at the soccer field was amazing because I was trying to kind of find my people that I connected with here, and you were just one of those people that I immediately connected with.
So we're freaks who would talk about true crime cases. And I've referenced you in many occasions because when you told me you were from Austin, Texas, the first thing I asked you was, do you know about the yogurt shop murders? And you looked at me like I was crazy. And of course, now you're very familiar with it. But sometimes when people tell me where they're from, I equate it with a documentary because I'm a complete weirdo.
That's not weird at all. I would do the same thing. And I actually do remember it. I think you just jogged my memory. I'm getting old and I'm losing brain cells, so I forgot. But yes, no, I do remember that being a huge deal. And yeah.
So tell me a little bit about growing up in Texas, because you're living in an area where, unlike where we live now, I can't imagine you're meeting people that work in the entertainment industry and specifically actors. Was there someone or something that spurred this interest in acting when you grow up in a place where you're probably not meeting people who work in the film industry?
Yes, Hollywood was a complete different world. That was just something that nobody that I ever knew did. I think I wanted to be an actress. This is an interesting story. I didn't really pursue it. I was a pretty rebellious kid. So it's not like I was in theater all the time and trying to pursue that dream. But there was a note that I had written myself in fifth grade. It was for a time capsule that said not to be opened until the year 2000. And so my mom pulled it out after I had already moved to LA. I happened to be on a show shooting in Vancouver. It was past 2000. It was like 2001. But my mom had me read the letter, and it was a fifth grade letter that I had written to myself and said, you, in the year 2000, you will be an actress in Hollywood. You will be working on all these TV shows, like all these things that were so on point. And it was just weird for me because I wasn't one of those kids that was necessarily pursuing it. I went to college for business marketing, and I did that just as like another high school degree. It was like, you just have to get that done and then you can do what you want to do. And when I came to visit a friend named Jensen Ackles, who was on a soap at the time, Days of Our Lives, we went to visit him for spring break. My girlfriend knew him from Dallas. So we went to visit him from spring break. And when I got off the plane, I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing with my life. I went to photo shoots, like a couple photo shoots with him. And it just all felt like where I was supposed to be. So I called my parents. I still had a semester left of school. And I said, if I rush my classes and I will take them in summer school in LA, if you guys will support me for 6 months so I can figure out what I'm doing. And so they were just kind of like thrown off guard, of course, because nobody in my family had ever done that, but they could tell that I was just going to do it because that's just how I was. And so when I got back to Austin, I took an acting class with this woman, Mona May, who was the mom in Dazed and Confused.
Oh, no way.
And that was like my favorite movie. So I like hunted this acting class down, went to the acting class. She was so encouraging to me. And so that gave me some confidence. And I remember coming home and doing a monologue for my mom, and my mom just bawling. Oh. And I was like, okay, like this is, I just felt like I found what I was supposed to do. So then I moved to LA, and I knew all those guys that I had met with Jensen, who I just talked to one of them the other day for like 2 hours and caught up with him. But they kind of helped me get settled. I lived on Mario Lopez's couch for like 3 weeks because his roommate was this guy, Mark Tanaz, who was so sweet and said, just come stay at our house. So I lived on their couch. Mario would come home from work and be like, hey, like, there's this girl at my house. And then they helped me find a roommate who had just gotten a divorce, and she had 2 sons, and I lived with her in an apartment for a while, and I just figured it all out.
Okay, so you're on the couch and you see someone like Mario Lopez, and he has had an agent for many years. Is it an overwhelming feeling of, how do I get an agent? How do I get to my first job? I have to find an apartment. I need to find like a group of friends that can be supportive to me should this not work out. What's running through your head?
I mean, it's crazy. I think every actor has that story of packing their bags up and just taking this huge leap. It is a learning curve. You have to learn about agents. You have to learn about the headshots, the resume. What all do you need? You have to study at the same time. And it was pretty crazy. I, at the time, had a boyfriend from college, from Texas, who was a model, and he was with Ford Models. And I went into his agency with him in LA at one point, and they had this innovative artists division that would recruit Ford models for commercial or theatrical. So even though I wasn't a model, I remember the commercial agent saying, I'll send you out and see what happens. And then shortly after that, they theatrically represented me. And that's how I just got really lucky in the beginning. But you have to get your SAG card. There's all those things. To your point, you have to learn about how you get your SAG card. I mean, you can't just go book a job. You have to get your SAG card. So there's ways about doing that. You have to be, I was an extra on Power Rangers like 3 times, and then you get your card and you can do that. But yeah, I started going out theatrically through them. And then I ended up getting transferred to the regular Innovative, which only repped actors after I booked a job. But that was just, I got very lucky in the beginning.
Now, are your parents like, you're in another state and Lord knows what crazy people are out there?
Yes, I think they were definitely like, what is our daughter doing? But I also think they knew me and they just knew they couldn't stop me. And I also had a really good head on my shoulders. I mean, I remember I lived in New York for a stint too before I had booked a job and was auditioning there. And I remember this big time producer came in. I worked at this place called the Coffee Shop in Union Square. And this big time producer came in and his family was sitting there, and he, in front of his kids, was like, are you an actress? I would love to send you a script. And I was like, sure, my agency's Innovative. You can send it to Innovative. And he was big time. I mean, I'm not going to say what he produced, but it was like a really big movies. And so I was excited about it, but I was also smart enough, and this was at 21, to know not to just like be in contact with him. So he was contacting me and calling me. I don't even remember what we had then. Was it emails or calling? We had cell phones? I can't remember. So I think he was calling me and just saying, I want to get you the script. Can you come meet me at my apartment? And I will get you the script. I have to walk the dog anyway. And I was like, no, send it to my agent. And it just kept going back and forth like that. And I remember in my acting class, the teacher was like, you can't trust people. Just because they're successful doesn't mean they're not slimy. And then he wanted me to meet him at a hotel lobby. And I was just like, no.
And this began with him meeting you with his children at a restaurant.
When I was, yes, he had older kids, but he was so nice and congenial, and it was amazing. But I will never forget that. And I already knew. And then after I said, no, I'm not going to meet you at the hotel lobby, just get the script to my agents. Then he was like, oh, you don't trust me. Okay, never mind. And this was after him contacting me for weeks. So I luckily had a good head on my shoulders. I didn't want anything handed to me in a weird way. I wanted to do it the right way. So I feel like my parents maybe kind of knew that, but also I think it was just so out of their hands. But I'm sure they worried.
How does that keep you in faith that you're in the right spot and it's all going to work out when you have experiences like that?
I just think you have to rely on the belief in yourself of I'm studying. If this isn't meant to be, it's not going to be meant to me. If I'm a good actress, I will at some point get to work. And luckily I did. So I just never really had to worry about that. Thank goodness.
What were some of the first jobs that you got?
So my very first job it's called Pasadena. It's Mike White, who did White Lotus. That was my very first. I had never even booked a commercial. And I got this audition to read for Diane Keaton for the show called Pasadena. And I could not believe that I was going in to read for her. That was just crazy. And I remember going in for the lead, and the entire time she was sort of giggling during this audition. And I was like, why is she? I feel like she's laughing at me. Like, this isn't funny. And then she started to talk to me at the end of the audition about being from Texas and George Bush and something about smoking. I remember something about marijuana. My girlfriend reminded me the other day. She's like, yeah, she asked if you smoked and you said, what, marijuana? I don't know. It was just this like funny exchange. And I was nervous because it was Diane Keaton. And I left that audition a little confused. And then they called me in for the best friend, who was the comic relief of this hour drama show. So it made sense to me. She just was picturing me as this funny girl. And Mike White's writing is so brilliant. So it was a job of a lifetime. So I booked the pilot as a guest star. We shoot it in LA. Everyone is so nice. My first day on set ever, I have Diane Keaton guiding me to where I'm sitting down, and I'm working with Allison Lohman, who's this amazing actress. And it was just a dream come true. I just was like, but I felt like, of course I should be here. This is where I should be. And then the show gets picked up, and I get the call that they made me a series regular. So that was really incredible because this was my first job. And that shot in Vancouver and just had a stellar cast for someone to work with for the very first time. And I remember Dana Delaney, the actress, coming up to me in the makeup trailer and saying, honey, it's not always going to be like this. And I was just like, what? Like, I was 23, just like, what are you talking about? She's like, it is not always going to be like this. This cast, this show, Mike, like the whole situation. And that just stuck in my head because after that job ended, we only went 13 episodes. It was during 9/11.
Oh. So
during 9/11, I'm in Canada. And I had met some really good friends. And Jensen happened to be working on a show too. So we that was sort of weird and full circle because he was the reason why I moved to LA, and he was working on Dark Angel. And then I met one of my best friends, was friends with his manager. Long story short, I had a little crew of people there, but we were there together during 9/11 and we couldn't fly back to the States. It was a very weird vibe because the Canadians weren't as distraught as we were. So it's like it was an interesting time. And then the show kept getting preempted for the World Series. And so it didn't go after 13 episodes, even though it was kind of the first of its kind. And Mike did an amazing job. So then I came back to LA. But my point in all of that was that then I sort of saw what Dana was talking about, because it's a grind. I mean, trying to get jobs, there's no trajectory. It's not like, oh, I got this series regular gig and now I'm just going to be on fire. I think sometimes that happens, but I was testing for different shows. After that, I had gotten Hope and Faith, but I think that was like a year after I'd gotten some recurrings. But yeah, it's been a really long journey, and I see what she was saying for sure.
Tell us about Hope and Faith. What was that like?
Hope and Faith was great. That shot in New York. It was a sitcom. Sitcom schedule is amazing. It is like a 9 to 5. You just rehearse 3 of the days. You do some read-throughs for the studio and the network on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you shoot all day. And then the studio audience comes in on Friday. So it's just really fun. It's kind of like doing a play on Friday nights, and the schedule's a breeze, and the subject matter is just so easy. It's so fun. And Kelly Ripa was hilarious. I loved her. And Ted McGinley, who I've worked with a couple times, was incredible. And Faith Ford. It was just an amazing cast. So that was really, really fun.
Is that trippy too? Like somebody like Ted McGinley, Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, it's something like we all watched as kids. And then suddenly you're working with him and he's your contemporary. What's that like?
That was very surreal. That happened a lot, where I was like, I would watch these people. But again, I had this mindset where I was just like, well, of course, like he's my friend. Like I never was like I'm not a starstruck person. I sort of always recognize like they're human beings, but it is exciting. It's exciting on the level of like, wow, I'm here. And like I pictured myself here and now I'm here. Mm-hmm. And that was a good feeling, but he could not have been nicer. Just like very kind people. And we had a lot of fun.
Kelly Ripa is sort of like, when I think of her, I think of you as having like a similar kind of look, like petite. Did people think that you were long friends or related? I mean, you do look and seem alike.
Well, she played my aunt, and then Faith Ford played my mom, and we all 3 looked a lot alike. I was like 25 at the time, playing 15, 16. So that was always a little awkward because I always looked really, really young. So I was playing that. That's what I think really helped me initially get in the door in acting, was that I could play younger. Mm-hmm. And they always like to cast somebody with a little more life experience in these younger roles. And they don't have to deal with like the work rules of children and all of that. So, but yeah, I think we all definitely fit together in terms of our look.
And what is that like when you have to play somebody 10 years younger than yourself? How do you prepare for a role like that or get into a mindset?
That wasn't really that hard. It wasn't always the most fulfilling. Like for Mike's show, when I played younger, his writing is so funny. It just doesn't even matter what age you're playing. It was like the sassy 15, 16-year-old. And that was just brilliant. Hope and Faith was a little more sitcom-y. Sometimes I felt like I was just one of the kids in the thing. So sometimes with the stereotypical sitcom character, I think it might not be quite as fulfilling, but it's still so fun to go to work. And it's such a fun environment. So I didn't mind it at all. But no, I mean, it's not like you remember how you thought back then. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't so far from it, I mean, even now you could probably imitate your teenage kid, get in their mindset. Like my daughter, Vivian, I'm just like, okay, I remember being like that. It's not so far off.
What sustains you in the periods where you don't have a project and you're doing a ton of auditions? How do you stay committed to the craft and to this career when there are the ebbs and flows?
Well, that's when it got really, really tough. I think that, there's a lot of people that get into acting and they say the first 10 years they weren't really booking anything. And then all of a sudden they booked something. For me, it was kind of the opposite. I, out of the gate, just had a lot of success in a row. And then when I got into my 30s and a little bit later in the 30s, people were like, we don't buy her as the lawyer. We don't buy her as the detective. It was things like that at the time that I was just like, but what? Like, I just wasn't fitting in this perfect box. And then you kind of start to self-sabotage. The industry changed a lot. So when I first got to LA, I would have scripts messengered to my front doorstep with auditions. I mean, just stacked up scripts, auditions emailed. Sometimes I'd have 3 a day. We'd have these crazy pilot seasons where you're just running from audition to audition. It was really busy. So in those times, to answer your question, it wasn't that hard because I was just so busy with auditions. But you do start to get like, it starts messing with your mind. And I started a little bit self-sabotage. I would get so nervous going in these rooms because my whole career was depending on this one moment in my head, which is now that I'm older, I have a totally different mindset. Now when I audition, I feel like I get to act and I have an opportunity to show up right now and be creative. And what a gift. How fun is this? If I don't get the job, whatever, then I'm not meant to have the job. I am part of this collaboration. I'm not in here for somebody to judge me. I'm not trying to please anybody. So now I have this really great mindset. And yet now there's very few auditions. The industry's changed. We're self-taping now at home. All the movie stars are doing these TV series. There's just not a lot of opportunity. So to take it, I mean, now I'm rambling, but to take it back to the point of like, what did I do when times would get tough? I mean, there was a time there that I do right before I had my daughter, Vivian, that I feel like I was at a low point. I felt like I was sabotaging. I was so nervous every time before I would go in a room that I was just trying to get through the audition, which is the worst thing you can do as an actor, because you need to be in there, this open vessel, creative, listening, reacting. And when you're nervous, you're completely blocked. So I do feel like I kind of bombed there for a while. Then I had my daughter. I was so hyper focused on raising my kids. That was so overwhelming, the 2 pregnancies. And then we moved to Orange County. And so then I just was like, well, I'm not going to be driving back to LA for auditions right now. And then COVID hit, and then I started really missing it. And I felt like there was no one here that understood what I did. I felt like I just blocked that part of my life out. I didn't want to talk about it because it's a little weird to be talking to people not in that industry, being like, I'm an actress. Like, I just felt like my whole identity was just like left behind. I was just like this mom in suburbia. And I really started to miss it. I started missing the creative people around me, all of that. And so it hit me, well, now everyone's going on tape. Everything is virtual. I don't have to drive to LA and be told no and spend 4 hours and get childcare. And, so I got back into it, started auditioning and booked a few things. But it's just there just hasn't been a lot of auditions. There hasn't been a lot of opportunity. And I took like 9 years off. So it wasn't just a couple of years. It was a really long time, 9 or 10 years. So that in and of itself, kind of being off the radar for that long. And then COVID, and then the strikes, and then just the nature of the industry. I'm hoping that it'll pick back up.
Do you think that you're a better actor now in some ways because you've become a mother and you get the opportunity to step away and live in a space where other people have different careers, that actually might make you better in certain roles because you've got a different life experience than the people who may have never left LA?
Absolutely. I think life experience is the most important thing you can bring to the table as an actor. And I think perspective, all of it. It's like I shook out of what it was. I've evolved, and I feel like I'm such a better actress now. I feel like I'm enjoying it way more. And I feel like I'm more grounded. And I actually love self-taping. A lot of people hate having to put themselves on tape. They want to be in the room, but the room would distract me because I would pick up on, if a producer's like looking at his phone for a second or making a note or looking the other way, like I would pick up on everything, and it would be a little bit distracting to me. So yeah, I feel like for a lot of reasons.
I think about what you said about, I was just so confident. Do you think having the college degree helped immensely? Because I think of people who get into acting as kids or young adults who don't have at least a degree as a backup. Do you think that was that helped you in your career, having that background?
For sure. I think that gave me a confidence. But I also just think I had this blind confidence that I could do it and that I was supposed to do it. And I just trusted my intuition on that. And then when things got hard, that was what I was kind of trying to get back. When those things got harder in my 30s, I was like, where's that passion that I had, where I just was so excited before I had ever booked a job to run around an audition and be creative. And so that's where I feel like it kind of came back full circle, because now I feel like that's where I'm at again. I'm just thankful when I get one, and I'm excited to go do it.
I also think for people like you who are so incredibly creative that you always need the creative outlet, that the two little girls occupied that. Having a pregnancy and then giving birth and then having little children really is such an incredibly creative experience. So it probably itched that scratch for you for a bit.
Totally. And it was all consuming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was just obsessed with them. I love them. And they're also handfuls. And I was just not in the mindset to be fully multitasking and being like, okay, I'm going to go do this too. We were here, and I feel like it's exactly what it should have been.
Of all the roles that you've done, what was actually most like yourself?
That's a really good question. I don't even know. I mean, I think in every role, there's pieces of yourself. I think the Mike White, the Jenny Bradbury character was probably kind of how I was as a teenager. Like, it was just sassy and funny. And rebellious. So that was really fun and relatable to me. I'm trying to think. Like this role that I did on Clipped, which was unfortunate because most of it got cut. And it wasn't huge, but it was just this pregnant woman worried about her husband. No, I think all of them have little pieces of me. Nothing has been super, I don't know. I'm an empathetic person. I can relate to a lot of different situations. And I think in every role, you bring pieces of yourself.
At this point of your career, what would be like a project that would really stand out to you as so much fun? Is it a sitcom? Is it a movie? What is it?
The sitcom I would love because of the schedule. And it is so much fun. So I always say that's my dream job is sitcom, have my kids be able to come to set, a Mike White show. I mean, I watch White Lotus. I'm just like, I feel like I need to get a hold of him and just beg him. I'm like, I'll play a flower in the background. I don't care. No, but that would be amazing. That would be a dream job.
Now, I feel like too, as just my what to watch list or things that come out, you will sometimes text me like, oh, I work with that person. I work with that person. Does it surprise the people in your life how many people you have come across in this career?
My mom, for sure. My mom loves thinking about that. She's like, you worked with him and he worked with her. So you're kind of connected to her. Yes, she's definitely into that. It's funny. I don't talk about it a lot with people like my friends here who aren't in the industry. We just, like I said, it's a little bit weird.
Lord, do I know?
I think it's it's like unrelatable to them. And I never want to sound like I'm bragging because I'm not. It was my reality. So it can be kind of tricky with that, but I get surprised by it for sure.
Yeah, like you were on Mario Lopez's couch. That's hysterical.
Yes, and he would come home from work and was like, who's this random chick? I'd be like, hey, Mario.
But if you saw him, would you go, remember when I was like staying on your couch?
I mean, I think so. If I wouldn't go bug him at if he's working or something. But I mean, my friends are still friends with him and he was really sweet. And we would all hang out in a group. Him and I weren't as like one-on-one close. He might have had a girlfriend or I don't know. He wasn't always with us, but I would definitely, if I was in the right situation, and he'd probably remember me from back in the day, maybe.
Is there one or two people that you can tell us you knew before they were big time and they are, somebody that you really think fondly of?
Well, Kristen Bell, I remember testing against her for a show. So things like that are what's weird to me. Brie Larson, I replaced her in Hope and Faith. So there's things like that where I'm like, I mean, she's mega star. I respect her career. She's amazing. I'm like, I actually replaced her. She did the pilot and then I replaced her. I had to test 14 times for that show. It was crazy. With Ashley Tisdale, who also tested against me and I got the role. And her and I would text during the whole process because we were like, and she was like 10 years younger than me. I mean, I think I don't know how old Ashley Tisdale is, but she's definitely younger and she was so sweet. And we were like friends through this process of competing. So we had to keep going in for the studio and network for them to decide who was going to get the role. So it's things like that. You remember just everyone in the grind. Everyone was in the grind in the same place, right?
What's the best life lesson that you've gotten out of the experience of being an actor, from the audition process to performing, all of it? Like what can you say are the benefits, life lessons that come out of being an actor?
I would say the inner strength that you end up having to have because you are rejected all of the time. It is 99% rejection and an occasional yes. And when you get a job, you would do that for free. I always feel like, okay, I'm getting paid for the grind. I'm getting paid for all those times that I got told no. I think the good life lesson is do not let anyone else define you. Only you know what you're capable of. And just because you didn't get a job, just because that director didn't see it in you, just because whatever it is, you have to learn to not accept that and to not let that get to you. And it's so hard. Like I told you, when I was sabotaging that, I was not doing that very well. But I think I've now gotten to the point with the reflection of it. And what I try to teach my girls is that no one else can define you. And that you can be told 5 million times, and it is still your job to pick yourself back up. And the only way that you will fail is if you quit.
Right.
Like, even though it's not like I'm working a ton right now, but I still say that. Like, I still believe in myself. There's not a lot of opportunity, but I know that whatever is meant to be will happen, and that the right thing will line up at some point, or I can just not do it anymore and then it's done and it doesn't matter anyway. So yeah, I think just resilience.
Now, I used to give you a lot of slack because you were so off the grid with social media. And I was thrilled that you've come around to it and you've started posting, because you're somebody who I love your taste, everything from your clothes to the stuff that you make. You're a clean eater. You always come up with like the much healthier version of things, which is right up my alley. And you've been beginning to post, like you just posted once, the soup I'm going to make this weekend too. What made you turn around your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest surprises that I ever thought. I was very anti-social media. I just felt like I don't need to showcase my life. I felt like it was very braggy. I felt like it was a lot of look at me, and it just made me feel kind of yucky. I was just like, I don't want to be a part of that. And then I think through this process of getting back into acting and really wanting to feel creatively fulfilled, something just went through my head where I was like, it doesn't have to be like that. There were a couple people that really, really inspired me, where they had like these curated feeds. It wasn't about them. They were providing value. So I was thinking about all the things that I love in my life and what I miss about acting and what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I love connecting with women. I'm not one of those small talk people. So it's not like I have just like a ton of friends, but when I have my people and when I start talking to someone, if we can go deep about like anything, even if it's just like women's hormones or what are you cooking for dinner tonight, or all the things we talk about as women, I love. And I love that feeling of connecting. And I also love cooking. I have been through this sort of 40s era where I feel like I kind of lost myself through the kids and then kind of came back, and I'm awakening back up and evolving. And I just felt like I needed to share that journey. I don't know. I woke up one morning and was just like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to do the things that inspire me, that make my life a little bit better and that I find joy in, and that everything doesn't have to be complicated. We can uncomplicate this life and we can make it really fun. And if I share that, I can get behind it. And so I've really enjoyed it. And I also feel like I'm creating content.
Right.
I didn't want to create content of just like me being an actress. Like I thought about doing comedy reels, and I might implement some kind of comedy, but have it be pertaining to what I'm already talking about, like motherhood or something funny. But I was like, I don't want to just like, because they always say like, create your own content now. Everyone needs to create their own content for acting and stuff. I was like, I'm not a writer. I mean, I don't want to necessarily just do skits all day. So I feel like this is a really good balance for me, because I'm getting to show up and be exactly who I am and just not care. It's another thing too. It's almost like a really good exercise for myself of what I just talked about, of like, initially I was like, is this so cringy? I'm embarrassed. Or people, I know I have friends that are probably like, what is she doing? All of a sudden she's on social media. Like I can feel it and I don't care. I was like, if you're not my audience, I know, but I think it's weird when someone just shows up like, oh, is she trying to be an influencer? What is she doing? I think in my head, I'm just like, I don't actually really care. Because if you're not my audience, if you're not someone that's connecting to what I'm saying, it might not be for you. And that's okay. You could be my best friend. if you're not connecting with this, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in such a better place right now. And I'm so happy, and I just feel way more grounded. And so I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it is brutal because I think about all of I could have gotten so many followers over the last however many years this was. And now to even get one follower, they've completely changed the game on Instagram. It's more about view time now instead of followers.
Yeah.
But I'm no one wants to follow me. It's hard for me to build this community when someone clicks on it and goes, oh, well, she hardly has any. I'm well, I just started 5 weeks ago. So it definitely feels brutal, and it feels a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's really exciting. And I do laugh because I'm did I just choose another path that's just really hard? Just acting, another really hard path. But I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to show up every day. I'm going to enjoy it. And hopefully people get inspired and we build a community of women who are excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell everybody where they can follow you.
So it's Nicole Paggi is the handle, which is just my name, Nicole Paggi. It's Nicole Paggi on Instagram.
And
I'm working on a TikTok, but that's a disaster. So no one go there yet.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it and love to see you.
This was so fun. Thank you, Kate.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Nicole, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey. You have to subscribe to my What to Watch list. I'm going to tell you what to watch in unscripted TV. I'm going to save you so much time. You can find that list at katecasey.substack.com. Also, make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, Twitter Threads, and Blue Sky at Kate Casey. And check out the bonus episodes. And I don't want you to miss out on this week's because I talk a little bit more about some housewife stuff, more about my Nancy Salzman interview, and more.